Okay, hello. Hello from Pittsburgh. Um, Today we are going to start working on this profile app. And the way it's going to work is, hopefully you have this set up already. So I have like an app.rb file, and that's going to be our controller for this app. And I'll open that up in a second. You should have this views folder already with these ERB files. So I have edit, index, new, show. So in this app.rb file, as I mentioned, this is going to be our controller. So we are going to make our routes here. And the first thing that we have to do, like right off the bat, is we have to require Sinatra, if you haven't already done that. The next thing that we're going to be doing is, as I mentioned before, we're using the URI module, and this is just part of Ruby. So if we do require and then URI, that's going to import that module, and it's going to tell Ruby, hey, we want to use this URI module in here as well. So now we have Sinatra available, we have URI available, and we'll see how we're going to use URI in a bit. But basically, we're going to use this to route and redirect to like different parts of our website. So a little context, this app is going to be a full CRUD app, but we are not going to work with a database. We are going to work with a very fake and janky mock database that uses text files. So the idea is we are going to be able to create different profiles, and we're going to be creating those profiles as text files, and then we could visit those text files in our app. You'll see what I mean in a bit. For now, just work with me. So because we are going to be making a bunch of text files, it's going to be easier for us to, within our app, we are going to make a new directory. So I'm going to do make dir, so make directory, and I'm going to call it profiles. And so in this profiles folder is where we are going to be storing those text files that we're going to make. So let's get started. As far as our routes go, the ones that we are going to work on today are, we are going to work on this get new route. And for conventions, we're going to do get profiles /new. And what this route is going to be in charge of is it's going to show our form in order to make a new profile. And we are going to work on this create file. We're going to do this. So post is what's going to actually be saving things in our mock database, which is why we are going to be using the post HTTP request. That way it actually saves, versus get, all we're doing is displaying a form. So that's just getting information. So that's going to just like, read our form. So those are the first two routes that we are going to start with. And then finally, once we actually make a profile, we're going to want to be able to like look at that profile that we just made. So our last route that we are going to work on is going to be another get route, because we're going to be, getting information from our website. And for convention, we're going to do profiles. And this typically would be ID, but in our case, we are going to change this to title. Only because we are not going to be storing IDs in our janky database. Okay, so let's start off with these three. And depending on how far we get with this, we might be able to do more, but I doubt it. I'll save probably the rest for next class. Okay, so let's talk about forms for a bit. So with forms, we already saw some when we worked with just plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So this should be somewhat of a review for you all. But in our ERB file, we're going to have our typical like whole HTML set up. Oh, excuse me, I had a hiccup. And let's just say, make a profile, because that's what this form is going to do. So that's going to be our header for the page. And then we are going to want to make a form. So we have this cool form tag. And then within here, we're going to have our inputs. That way our users can like actually make a profile, and they can put in content for the profiles. And I have a text area in there. And then another input. Okay, so our first input, I'm going to give it just a little label and do title. And then here I'm going to do content. So our first input is going to be an input type text, because we're going to want them to type in like a short little title here. So text is going to be shorter than text area. So text area is going to be like a nice big fat input field, versus this input text is only going to be like one line, which is what we want for our title. Second thing, we want to do name is equal to title. And typically this is going to match up with our rows in the database. But in this case, we're just going to be using this to grab our input text, like whatever they typed in here. And then finally, for text area, we are going to put name content. And it's always conventional, like, to have this match with, whatever we're labeling it with. So whatever we're expecting to get is what we should probably name it. And, this is supposed to go within the text area. Okay. And then finally, this input is going to be our submit button. So we're going to make input type submit. And that is just going to submit our form. Okay, so now let's talk about what goes in this tag. We haven't made any changes yet when we worked with HTML and CSS and JavaScript. We haven't talked about what to put in here. We've just been like grabbing our inputs using JavaScript. But in this case, because we are actually going to be saving things within our website, we're going to have to do something special here. So what we are going to do is method is equal to post, and the action is going to go to profiles. Okay, so let's talk about this. This method post is going to say like, hey, when the user clicks on submit, this form is going to make a post request, and the action is going to be the route that it goes to. So we're making a post request to /profiles. So this has to match up with the route that we made in here. So here we have this post /profiles. So that's where our form is going to go to, which is awesome. That's exactly what we want. So now that we have our form that's going to take in like whatever the user wants to make a profile of, we are going to want to go ahead and in here actually save whatever profile they're trying to make. And to do that, I just want to go over some methods that we're going to be making. So I'm going to make a method called, let's do save. Yeah, okay, let's just do save. And we are going to take in title and we're going to take in content. So we're making the save method. We're going to take in the title and the content that they wrote. And I'll explain what this is going to do in a bit. Actually, it's supposed to be like that. Okay. And then okay, so let's go over this method that we just made. So this is a save method, and what this is going to do is we're saying, okay, take in title and take in content of what they wrote in our form, and then we are going to make this file. So it says file.open, and we're going to go ahead and if this file doesn't exist, it's going to go ahead and make a text file that that starts with like the title that they put in, and it's going to add this extension .text. So we're making a text file and the title of the text file is going to be whatever title that they put in. And what this W means is it's going to let us write to this file. And that's exactly what we're doing here. So here we are going to go ahead and add whatever content that they wrote in our file. So for example, if I want to make a profile for, I'm going to go ahead and use Betty White because I love her, because she's great. So if I want to make a profile for Betty White, my title would probably be Betty, and then my content would probably be some blurb about Betty White. So now that we have this save method, let's go ahead and use it. So first of all, let's talk about this route. So all this is doing, we said, was going to show our form. So let's go ahead and do that now. You should already know how to do this. So, ERB, and then the name of the file that you want to use. So in our case, it's going to be new. So it's going to go ahead and show our new form in this route. And then for post, we are going to want to go ahead and do save. So we're going to use our save method, and we're going to want to pass it the title and the content of whatever they typed in. So to do that, we're going to do params title, comma, params content. And what this is going to do is it's going to look in our form. It's going to grab something that's called title. It's going to grab whatever they typed in for something that we call content. So that's what this is doing here. This is like grabbing the params from our form. So notice how we're not doing our title anymore within the URL. This will work just fine. So we are grabbing params from our form versus the URL itself, which is awesome. So now that we have that save method going, once we actually save this text file, we are going to want to redirect them somewhere, because otherwise they're just going to be stuck in this post limbo. So typically when you're on Twitter or you're on Instagram, as soon as you tweet something or as soon as you post a picture, then typically it redirects you to either all of your tweets or that specific post. So we're going to want to do the same thing here. So I'm going to probably want to, when they make a new profile, I'm going to take them to this route. So I'm going to show them the profile that they just made. So that's where this URI comes in. We can now redirect to this route using URI. So we're going to go ahead and say redirect URI dot escape, and we're going to go ahead and redirect to this route. So I'm going to do profiles / and then we're going to do what we did similar to up here, and I'm going to go ahead and do, oh gosh, I am a mess today, title, and then dot text. So that is going to redirect them to this route. And so in this route, we said we want to show them the profile that they just made. So first of all, we're going to want to go ahead and call our erb.show. So we want to use this show file that we made. And what this is going to do is it's going to show the profile that they just made. So in order to do that, we have to somehow get the profile that they just made. So we're going to have to read the profile file that they just made. And in order to do that, we are going to make another method. And I guess I could call it, show content. And what this method is going to do is it's going to take in a profile title. That way we could search for that profile file within our folder. And then we are going to want to read that file. So we're going to do file.read. And then I'm going to do profiles / and again, we're going to need this. And so that's going to go ahead, look for a file that's called whatever we type in here, and it's going to read that file. So we could go ahead and use that method here. I'm going to make some instant variables. So at title, and then we're going to do at content. So at title is going to be equal to our params, our URL params title. So I'm going to type in params title. So we're going to grab the title from our URL here. And then the content, that is going to be using the show content method that we just made. So I'm going to do show content. And this takes in a title. So I could, pass it at title. And then this should work in theory. So we will try this out. Let's see what happens. Okay, so just to quickly review, the only reason why we're able to grab title from our URL here is because when we redirected, we explicitly put the title here from our form. So let's actually just look at how our app is going to work, and then hopefully it'll make a little more sense. So just in case, I'm going to do gem install Sinatra. Okay, cool. And now I'm going to go ahead and run my website. Sinatra has taken the stage. And I could go ahead. Okay, so we are up and running, but I don't have a root for our regular slash. We'll add that in next time. But for now, let's visit the routes that we do have. And I'm going to go to /profiles /new and see what happens. Boom, there is our form. It's super ugly. Yes, you guys could add styling if you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and make new file for Betty White. And then content. As much as I love Betty White, I really don't know anything about her. So I'm just going to say sweetest lady in the world. It's probably true. We'll go with that. And I'm going to say is magical. And probably loves puppies and tacos. Alright, so it hits up. Oh dear, oh no. Name error at profiles. Undefined local variable or method file. Okay. So let's see what's going on here. Oh, I know why. So, I messed up. So we're gonna do file, and then that should take care of that error. Yeah, I was saying like I don't know what you mean when you say file.print. So yeah, we just need to add that in, and it should be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead. Actually, I'm gonna go back. Oh no, oh no. Okay, I don't want to type this out again, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that. And let's restart our server. Okay, now let's try this again. Okay, so Betty White. I'm gonna go ahead. Now if I hit submit, oh dear. Now what? Oh, I messed up again. Oh man. Cool. Well, at least you guys are learning from my mistakes. So I'm saying undefined local variable or method title for this. So it doesn't like this line. Let's go ahead and look at that. Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Because I did not do params title. There. Okay. Now, I swear this should work. Yeah, so we're gonna just wanna grab our title from our form here and then use that. Okay, one last time. Profiles/new, please work with me. Betty White, paste that in. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Betty White .text. Why did you make that one? So if I go in here, and if I look in here, oh, that's weird. You see, I made this, but it didn't call it Betty White. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that file. And let's see what's going on. So something is happening when we're making our file. You know what? I'm just going to try this again. just to make sure that what I think is happening is really happening. Okay. Yeah, so when we are saving it, it's saving it like that versus actually using my title. Okay, so let's fix that now. So I guess if I wanted to, I could do title here and do some string interpolation. Go ahead and delete that file. New files, new. Paste that. Betty White. Thank God. So it made my Betty White.txt. Now I'm going to have to do the same thing here for the read. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, do title plus plus. And we should be good. Okay. I'll put this code on GitHub, by the way. That way you have it for reference. Betty. Betty, Betty, Betty. I guess I'll just get rid of that. Okay, it works. So now that we have our Betty White.txt redirect working, finally, so this should work now. But when we do this, right now our show page is completely empty. So in order to like actually show the profile that they just made, we have @title and @content. So we have access to these two instance variables within our view. So let's go ahead and use those instance variables. So in our show .erb, we are going to want to go ahead and display our content. And let's just display our title. So if I wanted to, I could, go ahead and do H1 and then remember, in order to use Ruby, we have to use embedded Ruby, which, looks like this tag. And because I actually want to like display or print out my title, I can do at like equals at title. And I'm going to want to do the same for my content. So my content, I'll probably just make it a paragraph. And then I could do equals at content. And then display that. So let's go ahead and let's restart our server. And refresh that page, and voila, we are displaying that file for our users. So I think this should be it for now. I will put this code on GitHub. Feel free to rewatch the video, email me if there's any questions. Just go through this, and as long as you understand the gist of what's going on with the routes, don't worry so much about this because, you know, this we just have to do because we're working with text files instead of an actual database. But as long as you understand like how to grab form inputs and this concept of like redirecting after we're saving, and how now we're using different HTTP requests other than GET. As long as that makes sense to you, you should be good. All right, I will put the link up and have a good day.